Today on The Explainer, we're diving into a high-stakes standoff. It's a story about how one policy decision in the US threatened to put a massive, multi-billion-dollar dent in India's global ambitions. We're talking about a booming industry hitting a political wall. And trust me, what happens next could actually change the phone right there in your pocket.
So at the very heart of this whole thing is this number, $20 to $30 billion. Just let that sink in. That's the potential value of electronics exports from India that were suddenly, almost overnight, put at risk. We're talking about a huge amount of commerce, of innovation, and jobs, all just hanging in the balance.
So yeah, that's the potential annual loss. A multi-billion-dollar risk for an industry that was, for all intents and purposes, booming. It seems like it came out of nowhere, and that's the big question we're going to unpack today. How on earth did we get to this point?
All right, so let's start by digging into the sheer scale of what's at stake here for India's ambitions on the world stage. You see, that $30 billion figure, it isn't just a random pile of goods. It represents a huge slice of everything India sells to the world in electronics. But here's the really crucial detail, especially if semiconductors are included. That part is key because, chips are the lifeblood of literally everything in our modern tech economy. So throwing them into the risk calculation, well, that just raises the stakes to a whole different level.
So where is all this risk actually coming from? Well, this isn't some hypothetical storm cloud on the horizon. No, this is a very real threat, and it's rooted in a very specific and pretty dramatic policy shift from the United States. And here's the source of it all. The Trump administration cranked up tariffs, which are basically just taxes on stuff you import, by as much as 50%. The whole idea was to take a much more protectionist approach to trade.
And that word, protectionism, that's what you really need to understand here. Think of it like this. It's an economic strategy where a country tries to make things from other countries more expensive. Why? To sort of build a wall around its own industries to protect them from foreign competition. This one policy is the direct cause of all the pressure we're talking about on India.
But hold on, because this isn't some simple story of a trade wall just stopping an industry dead in its tracks. Right when things look their most dire, a really fascinating twist emerges. A lifeline, really, that completely changes the immediate outlook.
And here it is. This is the safety net. Despite all those broad tariff threats, one huge, absolutely vital category, smartphones and other key electronics are, for now, exempt. This one little detail provides this critical buffer, and it stops that multi-billion-dollar risk from becoming a reality, at least for the moment.
So who benefits the most from this little loophole? Well, just look at the names, Apple and Samsung. And believe me, this is no accident. Both of these giants have poured billions into building massive manufacturing bases in India, specifically to spread out their supply chains. So this exemption, it's not just a lifeline for India. It's a strategically vital move for some of the biggest tech companies in the world.
Okay, so you've got this really complex mix of a huge threat on one hand and a massive opportunity on the other. India isn't just sitting back and hoping for the best. The country's electronics sector is actually mounting a pretty proactive response to try and lock down its future.
The key takeaway here is really one of defiance, of determination. Even with these huge risks hanging over their heads, the sector is not hitting the brakes. Not at all. Instead, it's pushing forward, trying to prove its strength and build up a resilience to whatever future geopolitical storms might be coming.
And this whole idea of resilience, it isn't just wishful thinking. It's a clear three-step strategy. Step 1, leverage that current smartphone exemption for all it's worth. Step 2, keep up that high level of performance to prove to the world how valuable the sector is. And third, use that foundation to build real long-term resilience so that the next time trade policies shift, it doesn't create the same kind of crisis.
And that all brings us to the final and most critical question. The world of global trade is, well, it's always changing, right? The rules are constantly in flux. So can India's electronics industry truly navigate all this uncertainty and turn what started as a multi-billion-dollar threat into a real, game-changing global opportunity? That right there is the question that's going to define its entire next chapter.